Alrighty people, we are back. We're going to go ahead and start working on our back some. See, we got a huge chunk we need to thin down, but we have some details we need to put into it because we're going to make a fabric cape, a real cape, instead of actually carve one on him. So, got to put some details into his body. Our profile on the face, this is the drawing I did to try and get the profile. I don't think we're going to get that exact profile because in my haste I took too much wood off. See, we took the arm off in the back so that we have actual profile of the arm. So in order to get this profile on this face, so to be out here, we need to move this head back a little further, this top part, which actually took, well, not accidentally, I just wasn't paying attention. Took the wood off here and the arms off here. So if we move this head back, we wouldn't have any wood to work with here, and the arms back, we wouldn't have any arms. So this is the profile we're going to be stuck with, which isn't bad. I mean, it's not bad at all. It's just, it's not the full look I was going for, let's say that. Well, we'll work on it more as we go on, tapering this to an angle on either side and everything, and we can get as close to this as possible, but we're not going to get this exact look. No biggie. But we're going to go on, work on the back while I figure out what else we can do up here. See, also we got more shaping of the body to do, arms, hands, fingers in the back. So we got a lot to work to do. We got our legs, how we want them, so we can start to shape those. Problem I'm noticing, obviously we got a lot of weight in the back, but he doesn't want to stand. So I'm hoping once we get this back shaped, we can balance him better. But I tend to have that problem a lot with my wood carvings, is a lot of them don't want to stand. And I think the reason being is because, like this guy for instance, old boogerman here, he's got these little twig legs and this huge body and head, and it works on a video game system where he doesn't actually have to move around, but when you make him into a carving or whatever and you try and get those legs to function, they just won't. Now what we're doing here, guys, is trying to get our detail to stay in place. Honestly, no. We got our template, we can shave this off and then add the detail back on. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that then. So far so good with this carving. I thought I would finish the whole thing in one day, and I probably could, but I don't want to. So I'm not going to finish it one day. Might as well enjoy it. Not rush yourself or push it. That's when you make dumb mistakes. And it's not like the end of the world if you make a mistake. It's a wood carving, for crying out loud. But don't go around making mistakes intentionally. It got stuck for a minute there, didn't it? Like I said, the way we're working it towards the middle of what was a block, it's some really good wood compared to some of the stuff I was getting for a while there. It was just so flaky. I mean, it wasn't dense at all. Probably could have carved it with a spoon. It's nice to finally get some solid wood that'll hold some details, not break. I think they need to start making more silly superhero movies like this, like they used to. Like, anybody ever seen The Toxic Avenger? Great, just cheesy, silly movie. Not like a lot of movies nowadays where they, I guess they're trying to be silly, but they're just being plain stupid. I haven't seen a good comedy in years. Probably a decade or more. I mean, they do try to add some comedy into these Marvel movies. Not so much the DC. I mean, they add a little bit, but not so much DC. But the Marvel one's trying to add some humor, but I don't know. They just fall short for me for some reason. Alright, now that we got our back thinned, where's our template? Here's our template. We have to press really hard. Where's the pencil? Maybe we can cut through it with the pencil. Like I said, this one, shoot. That's when you need a real pencil, not this little fake lead pencil. Or mechanical pencil, rather. All pencils are lead pencils. And just lied again, not all pencils are lead pencils. There's some grease pencil and all kinds. But for the most part, they're lead. Put his little ham hocks in here. Finally sat down and made myself watch the Wonder Woman movie. I don't know what everybody was praising it so much for. I mean, I get it's the first independent superhero movie with a female lead. I get the significance of that and everything. But I thought the movie was just hot garbage. And that Gal Gadot can't act. Cannot act for nada. I remember her way back in the Fast and Furious ones. I mean, she didn't really have very many speaking roles. Maybe that helped her. But terrible acting in the Wonder Woman movie. Alrighty. Doubt any of those superhero geeks and all that will tear me a new one for saying I don't like Wonder Woman, because I'm sure, hopefully, they don't either. That movie was just trash. Good thing I didn't pay to see it. I haven't brought myself to watch the Spider-Man Homecoming. I know that most people already seen them in theaters and everything, but I mean, they've made so many different Spider-Man movies, so many different people playing the character. I mean, I don't know how it's holding interest to most people. Alrighty. I'm gonna do that little thing, because spine is here. Alright. Now that we're ready to actually start doing something, I can quit rambling about nothing. But yeah, I think they should go back and take inspiration from silly stuff like this, and Earthworm Jim, Toe Jam and Earl. That was an awesome one when I was a kid. So everything's so CGI heavy nowadays. When I was a kid, didn't have CGI, and then when CGI did come around, it was not the best, so they didn't lean on it as much as they do now. And that's where a lot of cool practical effects. I mean, you go back and look at some of these older movies from the 80s, and you can see just how cool some of the creatures and what have you were. Just the effects were just awesome. Movies may have been garbage, but you watched them and kept watching them because the effects were good, or the creature was good, or any of that stuff. Or now, they just churn out crappy movies with ridiculous special effects. I think a good one example of how to do practical effects and special effects together, CGI, is that a Crimson Peak movie. The movie itself, not too great, just because it seems like they didn't work the plot enough before they got to the Crimson Peak mansion. But the special effects of all the ghosts and stuff were actually practical effects with CGI to do the moths or the flowing hair and all that kind of stuff. So they paired them together and matched them. Really nice, actually. Recommend any of those movies with Javier Botet, I think that's how you say his name, where he plays a lot of the real creepy monsters in the movies, like the movie Mama. He plays that character. He's done a bunch of other ones. Heck, the screen tests of him for that Mama character are just give you nightmares, man. Let's have a peek at that. Javier Botet, Mama screen test. Tell me it doesn't give you the heebie-jeebies. All we're doing, as you can tell, is we're shaping it. I think this knife is getting dull. Sharpen it real quick. Alrighty. Now, let's see. I'll come in at a little bit of an angle here because we already did that plunging cut to work as our backstop. I need to get the sickle blade out so we can curve that over nicer. Yeah, I like how this one's coming along, so I think I will do one more just silly little animated carving, and then I'll get into my more detailed ones after that. It's good to remember to have fun carving, especially after my Christmas carving of Krampus. That one was just a massive undertaking. I worked on that thing slowly for, heck, I think over a month just to get it right. And I think as far as my miniatures, that is the best of the miniature carvings I've done so far as just looking exactly like the picture, all the details that were added into it. And I know at the end, if you haven't seen it, we put real fabric over top of the body, and it covered a lot of the work we did, but it looks even better. And that was my element of realism, as well as the beard. And if the fabric hadn't worked out, we had all that carving detail to fall back on. But it was nice to do the last one I just did. I didn't record it, unfortunately, but it was Whack, the alien. And I didn't record it just so I could just do a carving without having to worry about camera angles and all that, and take my time, and it actually came along pretty quick. He was a little challenging for some fact. He just has weird anatomy because he's an alien, but for the most part, really simple and just really enjoyable. And then Boogerman here, he's pretty simple, which makes it enjoyable. Not having to worry about screwing up a fine detail somewhere. And just the character himself. If you stop and just think about who you're carving, it's just a fun character. Start rounding, so taking these edges off. Man, this wood is dense. See, we're going to have a little bit hanging out like this, but we'll be able to thin down once we shape these arms, because the arms are obviously going to change a little bit of shape and get a teensy bit smaller. Jesus. And when you're putting in, for this instance, not like everybody's always going to put back fat in, but for his back fat here, you really want to make it subtle. You don't want to have these huge hard edges, making it so distinct. I mean, you want it to be visible, but you don't want it to be like throwing off the whole feel of it. Can't really think of the right word to associate with it at the moment. You just want it to be flush, fluid. And all just goes back to not having any hard lines and edges. And I said, you can get all the rough design and everything done, rough shapes in with your knife. And I mean, you can get things dang near perfect with the knife. You might not even have to sand. And that's I try and get as close to how I want it the finished look to be before I hit with the sandpaper. And that way with the sandpaper, all you're doing is just smoothing things out, taking knife marks out if you want to take the knife marks out, and just blending everything in nice and fluid. See what I'm doing here? It's usually a no-no. My finger's right here and I'm cutting towards it. But, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do when you can't hold anywhere else. Now, I've seen people wear gloves when they carve. I mean, I find that pretty obtrusive because I can't feel what I'm doing. I hate wearing gloves for just about anything. Lose that sense of touch, but I wonder if they work. I have no idea if they actually work. My niece has a mild interest in wood carving, mainly because she hasn't tried it yet, so I have a feeling when she actually tries it, she might not like it, because I think some real young people would see somebody doing it who's been doing it a while and see how everything takes shape, and to them it takes shape real easily, but in the case if they tried it, it wouldn't be as easy. You would see how much work is involved in it. So I thought about getting her those little gloves I see some people wearing. That way she could try it on her own and see if she actually likes it and quits hounding me to do it. Alrighty, let's see here. Now we get that nice and subtle. I'm gonna bring the back to taper it in. Now we have a drawing I did for a template of Boogerman's arch enemy, the Boogermeister. I thought about doing at some point. Originally I thought about doing it right after this one, but it's not really calling to me. That's one thing with me when it comes to wood carvings, is it just has to really nag at me, like, I want to do that. It has to seem interesting and really kind of catch my attention, that I would like to have it on my mantle. Our Boogerman here is kind of a one-off. I just want to do something fun and colorful, and Boogermeister just doesn't really catch the attention at the moment. He's actually a lot more elaborate than Boogerman. He's like a giant dripping snot monster. It's kind of gross. But whenever I do get around to it, I'll make sure I'll video it, because honestly it should be pretty cool. So like I said, he's a big drippy snot monster, so carving that kind of details of some sort of viscous material dripping, man, would be kind of cool to see how to do, or at least do in a somewhat believable fashion. Carving a water type appearance, like a droplet and stuff, it's not super easy. I can't believe I'm carving a butt right now. Sorry guys, I just realized what I was doing. I was like, man, carved a character's butt. Alright, and obviously he's hanging out a little bit. Not too bad though. And we'll have to thin that down a little bit as we go along. But we're going to stop it here, fellas, and when we come back, we will shape up the arms, and then we can move to the head and the eyes, get all of our rough shapes in, and then we can do the fine details after that.